Welcome to Getting Intimate with Intimacy. I am Jamie London Wollberg. My pronouns are he, they.
I'm Katie Jayne, she, her.
And I am May. This is a space for deep exploration of the mind, body, and soul connection.
Getting Intimate with Intimacy covers consistent multimedia content spanning all forms of intimacy, from sexual to intellectual, and everything in between.
Our content is created for all beings, bodies, and abilities, age 18 and up.
And it can be enjoyed on YouTube as well as OnlyFans and InsightTimer. The links will be in the description on for our live streams.
We're really looking forward to experiencing the infinite layers of intimacy with you.
And remember, intimacy starts within.
And we're back home. Namaste, everyone. I don't know about you. I feel so much better every time I think about how intimacy starts within. It's amazing how that concept just grounds me in the chaos. Welcome everyone back to Getting Intimate with Intimacy, episode 14. It's so mind-blowing. Let's just give ourselves a round of applause. And everyone for showing up, whether you're showing up live or in the replay. Today, we are covering a typical episode. For those who are wondering what typical means, we've now started to implement these deep dive episodes, which will be next week's. So today we're doing a typical episode roundtable. We are going to discuss how can I create balance within my divine energies to enhance intimacy with myself and others. And I am so excited to dive in. Yes, May.
I just wanted today, I would love that you started, since this was your topic. I really would love that you started today.
Oh, okay. All right. I was unprepared for that.
I'm sorry.
But, I just finished saying to them how today has been very chaotic energy, and I'm embracing it. So we will embrace it. So we're going to backtrack a little bit today. I realized that usually we start with the big question, and I thought we would actually ease into the big question. So let's get micro and talk about what are divine energies and what does that mean for you. So divine energies to me are all energies, right? Every energy is divine inherently. I believe that we are made up of these divine energies as co-creators, and they are essentially energies that we get to bring into our form of expression of existence. And in terms of what we often speak to in society now of humanity, where we have these divine masculine and divine feminine energies, we're really taking language and we're saying, hey, we're making meaning in this way, and a lot of people feel this way. But for me, when we zoom out into just these divine energies, that's where we have true freedom and our true form of expression, because then it's not boxed in to something that the major air quotes, the majority feels or sees or believes. And the reality, we get programmed into a very skewed perspective. And I like to have an open perspective where things can change, where if tomorrow I decide that the most feminine thing that someone can do is invert themselves upside down, that's what resonates with me, and then that's fine, right? That was a very strange example, but the point, that's how out of alignment this concept is to me, to be anything other than just being. That's what we're doing. We're being, and we're looking for words to express that. So the divine energies to me are everything. They're divine. They're never wrong. They're never right. They just are. And it's whatever you're expressing in that moment and whatever it is for you. How do you feel about this, KJ? What do these divine energies mean for you? What are they?
I love that, what you just said at the end there. They just are. Doesn't mean it's wrong or right. And yes, we have been discussing the fact that we live in a plane of duality, right? That's the way we've been taught and raised as humans at this time. She, he, negative, positive, right? But we have also dove in quite a bit to the discussion of not having the opposite poles be good or bad, greater than or less than, right? So I, back up, that's what you're saying. Like, it just is. It flows, it ebbs. The understanding that we have of divine masculine and divine feminine really ultimately should just be, right? We should just be in flow and letting that, merge and separate as it does, or honor that sometimes people have different experiences, even of that, as we've discovered between the three of us, right? Very different experiences, views, perspectives, whether they think about it at all, like in certain situations. So I do believe, I agree with what you said, Jamie. We all are made of divine energy, right? We're here, we're being human. That's amazing. It's pretty miraculous. So I think that was a pretty good answer.
Thank you. How are you feeling about it, May? What do these divine energies mean for you? What are they?
Thank you, my dears, for what you just shared. To me, everything is divine in terms of it comes from God, from creation. I believe that the masculine and the feminine, they exist primarily in the physical form. They are the substance of the physical form, at least of living creatures. They are at the core of every living creature, and then with our high self-consciousness, we can play with these energies as we wish. Yes, we have all been conditioned on this planet to thinking of masculine in a certain way and feminine in a certain way, with some predominant beliefs around the planet. In culture, especially, that have been created and developed by men, which is the vast majority of cultures on the planet. And yet, I think that right now there's also other lines of thinking, other movements, very contrary to the ones that we have been experiencing in the 20th century and before that. And I'm only concerned about what is my true understanding of the masculine and the feminine. And once I understand that, which there will not be a definite date for that, because it's also an ongoing process for me, for each individual who is very honestly exploring them. For me, it's like once I realize what is the best expression of the masculine and the best expression of the feminine in myself, that I dare to do that, to bring that out in society. And just briefly, I took a little bit of time today to bring 5 qualities that I feel about the masculine and the feminine. If you want to know them, would you like me to share them?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so in the feminine, I had to be very concise. I would definitely think of more, but I just wanted. In the feminine, I chose love, flow, nourishment, creation, and beauty/embellishment. These 5 for the feminine. And for the masculine, I have strength, construction, direction, solidity, and protection. Those can be intertwined and can actually be expressed in many different ways and felt in many different ways. But overall, if I had to choose, which sometimes I force myself to do so, is like, okay, these are the ones that stand out a little bit more in the masculine for me and a little bit more in the feminine.
It is so powerful how triggering that is to hear. Not because, and I'm realizing now really what it is. It's because those words and those meanings and the concept on their own, not triggering. When I think about what society has made that mean and what that's translated into,
I see.
it's maddening for me. because what's happened now is we are going about complaining that men do not know how to love when we told them not to. We said, this is not what you do. You're a masculine being. Your job is to protect. Well, why is protection not also love? Like, this is definitely deep dive material, but it gets me hot.
And how beautiful and sweet protection is. It's like, it depends on how you look at it. It can have a very different feeling and taste to it. And I think all of them are beautiful. Like, and I would never say that this is just related to the feminine or this is just related to the masculine, but I had to be very precise in how I feel them in general from my own perspective, which we could start also an argument about what is beauty to you, what is protection, what is creation. So that's another debate again.
Oh, 100%. And that's the whole game, right? And it's not, and the thing is, like, you didn't trigger me. You said the things that are said over and over and over again. Like, I have zero emotional attachment to you saying it. Like, I don't feel like I'm fighting with you. I feel like I am shaking. Sometimes when I want to shake the universe because I'm frustrated with our behavior, I shake a pillow. This is why don't you understand? We're like, and so, I mean, yeah, we're gonna have to bank this for the deep dive, but it's 100%. It's that, the conversation that would benefit society, in my perspective, very much are these deeper conversations of what is beauty. But because the immediate reaction that people have is the word you said, argument. I don't even know if you realized you said it. You said, or we could argue, and then you use the word debate. And those are two words that do not bring about love and healthy communication, at least in English.
No, because in Spanish, it's because of the translation. I would never argue about this because I don't want to win any kind of conversation. I can share and listen to other opinions. So it's a matter of the translation in my mind.
Yeah. Oh, no, 100%. I know that you don't mean that, but it's important that people know.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Well, we know, because
there's no argument in terms of, no.
Yeah. So I can't wait to deep dive into this next week. But we gotta press on because this could be. But I'm really happy that you brought those about May because
good.
It's important,
and that's why we're here. It is fascinating to hear different perspectives, right?
Sure.
100%. It's so important. And look at how we embrace each other, right? Like, I'm so excited that May brought that to the table. I don't feel that May is wrong. And I also didn't feel like I couldn't say like, this is triggering and here's what's triggering about it. We're able to have this conversation. So if anything, we hope that our roundtables model, a way to communicate that may feel healthy for you and allow for people to feel heard and resolve, because I will never shut down that whole thing, even though I really want to shake the universe and I'm going to be spending all of the deep dive.
Not the universe, just planet Earth. Shake planet Earth.
Anyway, yeah. I mean,
real quick before we move on, can we bring up the comment that Lee just made?
Oh, sure.
Oh, okay.
Reverend Lee says, love is the givingness of the spirit as creation, as both the masculine and feminine aspects of the whole. Yeah, love that.
Mm-hmm. That's as well a beautiful perspective, of course. Thank you, Lee.
Okay. What are divine energies and what does that mean for you?
That's what we just covered.
Sorry, you're right. How do I see? This is why we don't do things out of order when JV's around. Okay.
You want me to read the question?
Yes.
Next question. How do your divine energies impact your intimacy on a physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual level, Jamie?
Oh, yes. This is why I feel off, because May insisted that I answer the questions first. how do my divine energies impact my intimacy? On a physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual level. I feel that, as I've expressed in previous episodes, um, to a degree, they don't. I don't think about it that way when it's happening. When I'm in the present moment, I'm not thinking, you know, I really want to express my divine masculine right now. And so I'm going to tell you to go do something. Like, or do this, in bed or whatever. Like, that's not, I just don't think about these things. I just am. I'm Jamie. That's it, period. and whatever expression comes of me, comes of me. Um, I, it's almost stressful and triggering to think about how I used to fixate on these kinds of things. I don't know how I functioned. I pretty much didn't. It just ate me alive. The way that this would, I think it's important for you to know. It used to take me hours to get ready. And I'm not just talking about what we hyper dramatize and criticize around what happens when the way that we paint, women taking forever, quote unquote, to get ready, which, by the way, people of all sexes and genders can take a long time to get ready. I think what's more important is asking why. And why do I feel that we take forever to get ready? Because of these words, because of these things. Because I would look in the mirror focused on my body dysmorphia and my gender dysphoria around these ways. So that way I could be myself and also, quote unquote, pass, which, for those who do not know what passing means in the trans, non-binary, and gender non-conforming communities, it means that you are looking for the rest of the world to view you a very specific way. And you are intentionally behaving and dressing in a way and taking actions in a way that will create that perspective. In a way, it's the greatest magician's act of illusionism. Because we are just creating a perspective. And the reality is that not everyone is always going to get your perspective in that way. And it can drive you up a wall to be in the mirror. And so I would literally take hours to get ready. And it would depend on what it was that I was getting ready for, to how much I cared. And it cared even more how much I felt about myself and my body and how I felt in alignment that day. Do you know how long it takes me to get ready now?
10 minutes?
Yeah, like maybe 10 to 15 minutes. I may put in a little bit more, of a minor freak out if I'm like, wanting to impress upon someone in a particular way. But the thought's different. I'm thinking about what has me feel confident. What do I feel sexy in right now? I'm not thinking about, I need to look masculine here. Someone's going to judge me for this here, this, that, and the other. And like I've even said about my facial hair and the cutting of my hair, it's actually nothing to do with masculine and feminine, everything to do that I want people to think that I'm closer to my age than they do when I don't, because I look like a baby when I have especially long hair on the top and no facial hair. People think I'm 16, 18. It makes it incredibly difficult to be seen as who I truly am at that point, because then we have other underlying assumptions, right? So ultimately, we're answering to these assumptions. That's why it feels triggering to me, and that's why it doesn't impact my intimacy now. If anything, what impacts my intimacy is not thinking about these things. And I'm giving you a picture of how it impacted my intimacy greatly before. Basically couldn't function, and everything was well planned and well thought out, and it took me forever to do anything. And now it consumes virtually none of my life, and therefore my intimacy with myself is whole and complete, and I'm thinking of other ways to describe myself in the same way that when we see someone, we don't always want someone to like immediately touch upon like for women, for example, like, you're always pretty first. How many times have we thought or heard, like, how about I'm funny, I'm interesting, I'm intelligent? I used to say this. So why would I live and embody in a way that I don't want that to be seen? It's stressful. It stresses me out. So it doesn't impact me at all, and I'm thrilled. doesn't impact you. Yeah. Does it impact you, KJ?
I guess this is an interesting question because, and listening to you, Jamie, I'm not sure that I always consciously think about it either, right? We both come from a before time where we fixated on it. That resonates with me big time, absolutely, because we've talked about my journey with embracing my femininity, my own body and gender dysmorphia, right? And so, similar but different. I used to be a lot more fixated on that. And I'm much more aligned with what you said about, am I comfortable? What makes me feel confident? What makes me feel cute? If I change my outfit twice, it's because I'm fine tuning it for me. Whether I'm going to a spiritual center, whether I'm going to hang out with my girlfriends, and I'm going to put more effort, me in this point in my life, into myself and my appearance when I go out with other females, because I want everybody to be cute and on their top game and get all the compliments from each other and strangers. So, you know, I'm just here, we're here for the love, as we've talked about it so many times. And so definitely my journey of self-love and self-realization has impacted all those levels of intimacy, but not necessarily the same like 5 years ago as to now. Am I conscious of that? I guess like to a degree I am, because I see it, right? I see it all around me. I see the differences that other people are representing and projecting. But we've also talked about, you know, being pansexual. I'm attracted to somebody's energy and their character and who they are first, right? And whatever vessel they're in, it is what it is, right? And so I think when I start to notice it is just like on a general level, like if I'm not well resourced, therefore I'm tired on multiple levels, I might find myself drifting into a pondering of like, how did I get here, right? Or what can I do? What is out of balance for me now, right? And what would feel good, and what can I do to realign my energies and my connection with my divine? So I think that answers the question. May, how about you?
Mm-hmm. So I think for me, similar in the way of questioning how my body looks and how it should look. And just to give a little context for anyone who is listening to us for the first time, I felt that I wanted to express more of the masculine energy since I was very young, and that was not encouraged in my environment. And so when I started to take care of it just a few years ago, to be very honest with myself, I had to make some changes in the way that I look and the way that I behave and the way that I have some sexual encounters, like in many aspects of my life, because the sexual energy for me on a physical level, that it's made of the masculine and the feminine, it actually changes the way that I present myself in the world. So when I was doing that transition, I was paying a lot of attention to what was masculine and what was feminine and what was too much from either side. Because since I was very young, I started to think of how the others saw me first instead of how I saw myself. One of my worst mental programs as a human was that from an early age. So now a few years ago, then I realized, okay, I have to allow myself to express more of the masculine, because this is the inner call that I feel. And then when I start dressing up, or when I'm in intimate encounter or whatever, I would like to stop thinking whether what I'm doing or how I'm looking is too masculine. That's one of the unconscious questions that comes up for me. And in the beginning, I was changing how I was dressing and behaving because of that unconscious question. When I started paying more attention to it, then I realized that I didn't want to dress or behave anymore because of the answer from that unconscious part of me, conditioned from society, was you look too masculine to be a woman, to be in a feminine vessel. And where I find myself right now is that aside the mental programming, that I'm still paying attention to it because sometimes it gets active, there is my inner sense and natural attraction to very particular balance between these two energies in myself. So once I transcend that kind of question, which sometimes doesn't come up, but when it does, I'm aware that that question comes from an unconscious conditioned place. Sometimes it comes up from a more loving and natural place. I may get dressed, and just when I'm about to leave, I look myself in the mirror because I don't have it in the bedroom. And then I think, okay, something is off here. Sometimes it's just how the colors are balancing one another, which I'm very precise with. And sometimes I have the notion that my appearance is either too masculine or too feminine. And I don't tell myself in a critical way. It's just a way for me to adjust that I make maybe just one adjustment somewhere and I'm like, okay, this is more neutral. And that's what I found, that for me, in general, when I find myself in a balance, from my own perspective, of course, of the masculine and the feminine, more in the neutral, it feels wonderful because that's how I feel more confident and how I bring the best of me into the world and how I enjoy much more every interaction with other humans. So I have a notion of it. I don't pay attention to it constantly, but sometimes it comes up, and to me, I just feel it. I just feel it. I just make sure that if that question comes up, it's coming from my true being as a way to adjust my energy in the physical form. And then I take care of it. And if it comes from the other place, I choose to ignore it.
Both of you had such beautiful shares. It's giving me so many ideas right now of different things that we could be doing, like coaching sessions and an episode where we go through our wardrobes and we each be like,
Oh,
go put on an outfit that looks feminine to you or like feels feminine to you, and like see how
and see how
that.
exactly all of us say, yeah, that looks feminine or that looks masculine or that looks neutral, like our own perspectives on it. That would be much fun. Yeah.
But just to quickly summarize and loop us into the next question, what I'm noticing is a direct theme from the three of us is, or theme may not be the right word, but context, subtext is that ultimately we all had ways that we experienced this before, and then while and throughout and because of our journeys into learning who we are, and the more comfortable we got in alignment with our authentic self, the less we fixated on this. And it makes me think a lot about how, and this is why I feel like shaking the pillow, because there are so many of these moments where we're like, yes, we're very attached to these words because this is what feels alignment to me. But then the results historically and throughout time and society, what we want doesn't always align. And so it's like how, humans, we love to try to have our cake and eat it too, do we not? and so it's interesting. So getting deeper now, right, to the question we're all here. So how can I balance within my divine energies to enhance intimacy with myself and others? And I feel like we've all
touched
kind
on
of started to touch upon it. To get deeper, I mean, I balance my divine energies and enhance my intimacy by having the courage, as we've talked about throughout several episodes now, to reveal myself to myself, and then take inspired actions that pair well with how I'm feeling to express it to the world, with the intention that I'm expressing my authentic self in my highest and best self, and that is how I'm going to be received. The discernment now is that I don't focus for me on how other people feel about that. If you want to perceive me as divine feminine while I'm wearing something that to me feels divinely masculine, knock yourself out. It has no impact on me. You want to know why? Because chances are we're just not like a love match. And so, like, why do I care if you're attracted to me or not? And the thing is that my biggest fixation was, again, right, that human desire to be loved, to feel belonging. And that's what I used to base it off of. I used to base it off of, I'm attracted to, I'm just going to throw out one random type that I'm attracted to, are like jocks. So like I am attracted to the physicality of jocks, muscles, athletic tone body.
Mm-hmm.
And in my mind, like I could frankly blame it on the queer world, but like the reality is, in my mind, I used to have this whole made up narrative of, this is the type of look and behavior and being that someone who's a jock is attracted to. Only to now realize that there are jocks that are attracted to bears, there are jocks that are only attracted to jocks, there are jocks that are asexual. There are, like, the list goes on. They could be attracted to any number of people. So it's a waste of my time to be anyone other than myself, because there will be people who are attracted to me for me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's always going to feel way better than anything else. And I can pretty much assure you that when you get to that point, at a certain point, these words are going to have a lot less meaning for you. Or maybe they'll have more meaning, but the meaning will feel easier. It'll feel gentle. It'll feel positive.
Less impact.
Yeah, exactly. How are you feeling, KJ?
Just quickly, but I remember, dear Jamie, just one thing. We were talking about male underwear once, and I don't know if you remember, and you told me kind of underwear that you liked because you thought it was very masculine, and to me it was like, oh my God, no, that looks very feminine to me. So that's just one example of so many things that we can put on the table where we're not going to see things the same way, and that it's okay.
100%. I mean, the only thing I'd be thinking of is that we were talking about jock straps, but that's a whole other thing to unpack. I don't remember you saying that jock straps were feminine.
No, I think it was more of a Speedo kind of underwear, or the long, looser ones. But that conversation was also connected to that one as well.
Worth it for the deep dive. Table it.
Yeah.
Can I feel? Yeah. How do you feel about this?
Well, I just want to first acknowledge, May, when you were talking earlier. I love how you talk about being the observer and your experience of that, of being the observer of your emotions, which is so powerful. So I just wanted to acknowledge that, because that's such a freaking powerful position to embody and explore, right? We all know that. We've all had, that journey of coming to that place within yourself, being able to be the observer and to, make the adjustments as you feel without judgment. So I love that. Also, something else occurred to me when we're talking about balancing divine energies that I meant to bring up earlier. Another divine energy is earth, right? You go out and you look at flowers, you don't think about them as male or female. Scientists will tell you that there's a part on most plants, but that's not what the average person is thinking, right? I'm not a botanist or a biologist. When I go out, I'm connecting with the divine energy that is, right? That is bringing life to all of the things that we see and experience. And so part of my balancing my divine energies has always been connected to the earth. We all know she, her, Faye. I'm very, very much connected to nature. And that's always been true for me. I always feel better when I can have intentional time connecting with nature. That is what was a challenge where I grew up, right? Having such crappy fall and winters at times where it was counterproductive or just not as easy to actually get outside. And so finding ways around that or to supplement it, right? But here I'm so grateful that it's sunny and that even driving Lyft, I get a driver's tan. Like, yeah, you can see it. That's from my boyfriend. Every day, that's my truck driver's tan. It's even on the other arm at this point. And that's so nourishing to me. I love the sunshine. I love being able to soak up the sunshine and to go to the mountains when I need to, right? And I think we've talked about before, maybe not in this forum, but for me, and this is something I've shared with others and had people agree on, is that when you've been to a particular place in nature, you can always go back there. That's a common theme in guided meditations is think of your happy place or think of a place in nature that you've been that makes you feel at peace. We are cyclical beings and we are existing within Earth cycles. So I think that's a really important part of balancing our divine energies. It always has been for me, and I know for both of you as well. So that was just something I wanted to make sure to include is for me, what helps me maintain balance is making conscious time to connect with the earth or with the elements, like taking a bath like I did this morning. That helps me, relax and feel more balanced. So. And then when I take that time, I directly see that in my ability to engage on the different levels of intimacy with other people.
Absolutely.
I love that. I resonate, as you know, very deeply. That is what my platform, if I had one, my platform is built on that awareness, right? And there's even still that old programming that pops back into my mind of being like, and flowers are feminine. And I'm like, no, where did you come from? Like, I'm not even thinking about that. Where did you come from?
Right.
And so like, that's how deep these things go, but it just doesn't make sense. So May, how do you feel about this?
So before I answer my question, this question personally, I want to share a reflection in society. I think for most people, it would be easier to balance their own energies if they lived in a society that has both energies balanced, which has not happened yet in our world in most. So as you know, I'm studying sexology right now. And so I'm lucky to be reflecting on many things about sexuality throughout history. And there is a Spanish researcher that I think it was about 10 years ago. He studied 66 cultures on the planet and how sexuality was lived there, was experienced. And so he found out that the cultures that were most isolated, like in the Pacific Islands, for example, one island that had one specific kind of culture or whatever. So those ones were experiencing sexuality in a more free way. And also the female had a more important role in society. And he found out that because of that, there was less violence. There was an overall greater well-being in that culture, and sexuality was lived in a rather more open and enjoyable way, as compared to other cultures where they're very close to one another, they influence each other and compete with one another, and also where the male, were having the ones in control in society, there was greater unbalance in so many ways. So this is just a reflection here. I think most of us have come to this conclusion, but it's important that we understand that how we are able and capable of feeling balanced in ourselves, it also comes from how our environment is actually being balanced itself with creation, with nature. So in my case, it's through quality time with myself in terms of silence and in terms of darkness, because for me it's very subtle how to perceive my masculine and feminine energies which, like I said before, sometimes I clearly identify, sometimes I don't, and it's not a problem whether I identify them or not. But sometimes it's like, it's so subtle that it's like from not wearing earrings to wearing one earring to wearing two. For me, there is a big difference energetically. And exactly what I felt called after I realized, feeling within was, it's just one and it's on the left. Why exactly, I cannot answer this, but I know that's exactly how my being wants to express my energy in a certain way. And I know it has to do with the masculine and the feminine to some extent, even though I cannot precisely express it. And if I was not so self-conscious, I wouldn't be as authentic and as powerful and beautiful as I am today, because I would be completely run like I was before. Mental programs, conditioning of humanity in general, and my culture and my family in particular, as to how I should look as a woman. So it's time with yourself for me, and then having the courage, once you identify what is really, what it feels more natural and beautiful and powerful to you, that you allow yourself courage again to express it out and get intimate as well. So this is also something that helps me. Sometimes before I start, when I get to know a man, before I take any more steps, physically or emotionally or whatever, sometimes I want to make sure that they understand, for example, that I'm not a super feminine woman. Okay, because I have had this repression that I couldn't express myself in the masculine. I don't want to be with men that in the end I start sensing that they would like me wearing makeup, they would like me wearing dresses, they would like me wearing heels and all of these things. So because sometimes they don't say it out loud, but I can feel it in some comments, or when we talk about other women or whatever. So a way also to respect myself and is to find people that are naturally more attracted to the kind of more not so conventional kind of woman in a way. In general, I'm talking, at least in my culture, because then I don't have to have that unconscious part of me active, figuring out whether I'm looking too masculine to him, whether he's going to get aroused or not, if I am more in my androgynous kind of style or whatever. So that's something that I do. I don't think that everybody should do it or not, but I like to have intimate partners that I know that are very much attracted to how I am naturally, inside and outside.
I love what you said. Yeah, my deepest desire to live is to live in a society whereby that doesn't even have to be a concern,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, and something that I'm, noticing about this, it's like, if you're listening or watching to this episode and you've never seen our other episodes, this is a great episode to watch, because we pretty much just boiled down to everything we've been saying all along, which is that it takes courage to know yourself. Intimacy starts within. So it's about living your authentic self. And we've encouraged you 20,000 ways to Sunday that basking in the glory of nature is one of the ways to get yourself into this divine balance. And that ultimately, whatever it is that you are embodying has to do with how you are perceiving it, and you have the opportunity to override these programs. And we're going to talk so much more about this next week in our deep dive. I can't wait. KJ, do we have any more comments?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Oh.
Let's address Lee more directly now that I feel right this. Do you want to read it again?
Love is the givingness of spirit as creation, as both the masculine and feminine aspects of the whole.
Yeah. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
The givingness.
Right.
I love that. Givingness. That is my new favorite word of the week. Givingness. I love it because it's about providing as well as existing in a way, receiving all in one thing. It's speaking to the essence that is, right?
Right. And thereby the inherent worthiness, right? If love is spirit and spirit is love, that is us, right? We are love, and therefore
Essence.
we are worthy.
Yes. Agreed.
Oh,
Thank
we
you.
have one more comment from Cora Slays. I love this conversation and you sharing your experience. First time here. It's me, Cora. Oh, hi, sweet Cora. Hi. I did invite her. Hi.
Hi, Cora. Welcome. Thank
Namaste,
you.
welcome.
Yeah, welcome. If you have any other questions or comments, Cora, absolutely now is the time. If you answer after the episode is over, that's also fine. We'll come back. Happy to have you here.
Yeah, anyone can leave your comments and then we will reply during the week before our next episode, of course.
Yes, and definitely do join us for the deep dive next week. We are very excited about that.
Yes. And in the meantime, you can learn more about, and if you want to see other episodes, you can watch on YouTube where you're at in the playlist, or you can go to the webpage and learn about where we are, which is really everywhere. We're in the process of creating more and more content in various locations. Right now, we're very intrigued with a new idea that we are going to be touching upon this spring and letting you all know about. But we will be back next week, and we've had a slight time change for those who are East Coasters. So because we just sprung forward, now we are going to be at 11:30 a.m. PST, 2:30 p.m. EST, and 7:30 p.m. CET. And eventually, CET will also change, but we will deal with that later. We decided that's a future challenge. So we will come up with that then. But we look forward to seeing you. And again, we will be doing a deep dive on this very same question. So if you are loving this conversation, keep communicating. And of course, you want to remember that intimacy starts within.
That's within.
We love you unconditionally. We'll see you next time.
Thank
Namaste.
Love.
Be well.